Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again, coming to bring you the good news that this character, the Poison Shield Crush Shield Charge style Pathfinder, worked out pretty damn good. So in the previous video, just highlighted that these types of shield skills with a big armor shield, a Ming's Heart, which is the only real rework for this entire build this league, can work pretty well. Like, it does some good proliff poison clearing, and it's very satisfying, and getting all the defenses in a character the way I have feels pretty good for the current game. And I had a few problems in the previous video, or by that point of the character, that I tried to end up solving, and it seems to have worked out rather well. So the main thing is that I dropped a lot, like almost all of my block investment, and reshifted my focus towards a cluster jewel with a couple of megalomaniacs, and just trying to fix a few problems that the build had in the form of getting a bit of leech, bit of life gain on hit, and then re-diverting all of my extra block into more armor and evasion. So as of previously, I had like 20 or 30k evasion armor, something like that, and then I recrafted a chest and did some little respecs, and encourage you to look at the POB if you care about that sort of thing. With all of that, I ended up at like 40 or 50k, both armor and evasion. I've got Fortify on my shield charge, and then got some life leech from a Feast of Flesh, small cluster style jewel, which is a megalomaniac. Yeah, just overall way thicker with this sort of armor setup. The block setup just wasn't doing enough. Like, it was helping to some extent, but having way more armor like this helped take all of the hits that would be otherwise be a bit annoying. So a big armor, big evasion setup, and then just pretty good DPS ended up making this character really smooth. So I've got something like 8 to 10 million DPS with good uptime, and then the thickness is just insurmountably larger than almost anything else I do for characters normally. And the proliff makes mapping really nice. So in the end, this character is an absolute joy to play for me. I played it for an extra couple of days probably, and did a lot of mapping, and then eventually took it over to some bosses and Ubers and stuff. And as you can see, once you finally tick all of the boxes you need to tick for feeling good in Arch Nemesis, you can actually kind of enjoy the game and mapping, because you can just run around sort of worry free and just face tank all kinds of shit. And it's pretty hard to do that on a lot of builds these days, just because that's kind of too far for some characters, or for some very meme builds. Or maybe we just need to adjust our expectations of how to build characters. Who knows? Either way, as you can see, it worked pretty well, and I never actually even tried Spectral Shield Throwout. This is just pure Shield Crush and Shield Charge, and it worked well enough. So like, I was having a really good time as just pure melee and running around face tanking things as they were. That said, Shield SST, so Spectral Shield Throw, would be similar damage, a bit less, because Shield Crush has an overlap sort of portion to it, but you'd then be ranged. And as you will soon discover, and I discovered, being uber like viable as melee is really fucking tough compared to a ranged character. So if you want the character, and you're copying this sort of thing, to be more uber viable, then you probably want to commit more to the Spectral Shield Throw side of things, because playing pure melee will make you want to tear your hair out if you're going for ubers. All uber content aside, this character was pretty damn good, just like face rolled most things, and can do really good DPS, really good face tanking, and the melee thing isn't an issue. The melee thing becomes a bit of an issue when you start bringing in the hardest of the hard content, and that is ubers, and I've complained and mentioned about this before, so it's nothing new, but it is pretty apparent. Because my character is finally one of those that's kind of pretty damn well built to take on all ubers as something with more longevity, and you can, you know, make some mistakes, you can take some damage and all of that, and then keep fighting, and yet that isn't enough to solve the melee issue in a lot of these cases, because a lot of the time you find you're just standing there and you can't do anything. Like, you'll see in some of these, in some examples, you're just like forced to take a back seat to your own gameplay and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna wait. here we go. You do a few attacks, and then maybe I'll do an attack, and then you do a few more attacks. And it does get a bit silly. So for Uber Eater of Worlds, this is the first one I actually tried. I had a feeling I'd be pretty good against it. It's not too bad. Like the melee issue, obviously there's less uptime, but it's right at the end when there's a lot of these drowned ball things floating around that it gets pretty damn tough to come close to the boss, and that's when it gets really frustrating. But up until that point, you can see I was also trying to like kind of limit test everything and see what kind of damage I could take, and at the same time it was interesting to try and see the defenses of a Pathfinder. So pretty damn good flask sustain, as you should be able to see throughout these videos. I do have the Pathfinder flask sustain and also a implicit on a chest that I rolled, so it's like 5 flask charges every 3 seconds or some shit, and on top of that there's some that just won't get used, and the life flask is a large part of my sustain, so it actually worked out pretty damn well. And I had 1 flask slot, which was my quartz flask, which I was just rotating for various resists for additional reduced damage taken. So for Uber Eater it was a topaz, for Shaper it's a sapphire, etc, etc. And I did end up taking on all the Ubers except for Exarch. Exarch was just a bit too tough. Like I wasn't quite thick enough to be able to face tank all the things you needed to face tank, and then it was a pretty melee issue, and then the DPS made it not quite good enough, I think. If I put in like 5 attempts on Exarch, I think I could have got him down, but it just seemed like a waste of time, so it's the only one I didn't do on this character. But all of them were kind of unfriendly to something this melee, so it wasn't very good on any of them, to be honest. Like Eater of Worlds was fine, but it took like 5 or 6 minutes or some shit. Maven is fine if you play really well, so it's a pretty stressful encounter, and you can't just like kind of brute force it. Yeah, it really highlights that you should probably be doing something ranged or something with overpowered DPS if you were going to try and farm some Ubers. So this character I'd still highly recommend making if you're going to try and do some Pathfinder or some poison action, want to put together a nice well-oiled finely, I don't know, something really good, a well-oiled machine, yeah. Then it's still completely fine, but don't take your expectations up to all the Ubers and stuff, because that's just aspirational content, and only really truly good builds should do it. And this one's really truly good, but it's then got a melee tag on it. So other things to mention, basically if you're going to try and do spectral shield throw, the main thing is you will have to try and fix mana a bit, and that's probably going to come in the form of a little bit of extra energy shield regen, or the craft from your belt, which gives you energy shield regen when a unique enemy is nearby. I don't have any better solutions than that because I haven't really played around with it. I just put it in for a couple of fights and I was going with my exact same setup. That's just because this setup has multi-strike, so it makes the attacks less mana like hungry, because you get your 3 attacks per 1 attack, which makes mana less, chompy. I don't know how to phrase that. Either way, when you're doing special shield throw, every single attack just costs like 30 mana and you just slowly drain away. So it's something to keep in mind if you're going to try that, but honestly shield crush is completely fine, and I think you should just not have to care about doing the Ubers, but you just certainly can. And once again, if you'd rather spectral shield throw, by all means chuck that in. Basically 1 for 1. The build doesn't really need any changes whatsoever, except for the gem link setup and also a bit of mana fixing or energy shield fixing. So this is the attempt on the feared. It was an all at once feared, of course, and it didn't quite have enough DPS to kill like an Atziri straight away, and I underestimated how bad the Shaper Beam would kill me immediately, so you saw that happen, but then I had to just run around and play the fight for a long fucking time. Either way, with all that said, Good character, 10 out of 10, almost, maybe. I don't know. It's a pretty high rating, I think. I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm going to leave you with one of the most frustrating encounters of my life, a Sirus as melee. So it's pretty entertaining, maybe, if you enjoy watching a man suffer. It was a first try. I didn't take any deaths until the last phase, so it was going pretty well, but watch and see how it unfolds. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time.
Let's go. We'll get there eventually, Sirus. Just let me catch up. Fucking hitting him from all over there. And I stepped outside the circle. Fuck you, Sirus! You shit fucking pie! And I reckon I could also tank a die beam, or at least come fucking close. But even that doesn't scare me too much. It's just the puddles. Ramping and ramping and ramping, and then getting 0 uptime on the boss. Oh, I'm dead, aren't I? I mean, alright. Doesn't bother me if I can tank a meteor. So what I reckon happened there is Molten Shell, everything was up, and this procced. 20% chance, less area. That's my guess anyway. Because I don't think I should be able to tank that. I'm not fast enough for a meteor phase either. I'm just gonna get cucked by that eventually. Chilling. Alright, dude, I'm fine with that. This is bad. Had to take a lot of beams. This fucking uptime. I don't even know which one I'm attacking right now. For how well this went, I don't think I could finish. Like, there's just nothing I can do anymore. This went insanely well. You know, I could tank all kinds of shit. I lived all the way to the end. I can't fucking do anything anymore. I literally don't get to attack him anymore. Like, unless I swap into SST. Eight stacks, dude. I mean, I could try doing some SST. It's not good, but I mean, it's probably better than nothing. Right? Even just on a fucking 4-link or some shit. I'll try recoloring, I suppose, after. Oh, this feels trash. Let's do that.
I agree with Mathful.
Literal fucking 5-link. Cause I don't think I want to use life tab. Okay, Vagina Mark, thanks for the 45-month resub.
I agree with Mathful.
Got nowhere to fucking stand. I'm about to flip my fucking table. Onimo, thanks for 3 months resub. Considering it was doable, like, what the fuck happened? I mean, we know what happened, but, like, goddamn, how did it go south so fast? Clean. Can you, like, come to my area? Start a new arena together?
My mana is gone. I'm not up to that just yet.
I do actually just need color at this point, and maybe it'll work. Also, I'm so I may as well just dodge a bit right now. It's all good. I like this maze. I'm in. think I was an right now. Good finish, eh? I'm not even gonna call. Nah, I'm going back in and just doing it. Calling would be admitting defeat at this point. Orb of literal fucking dominance. That's how Sirus felt. Dominated. Fuck, that's a terrible fight.